And it shall come to pass that if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
My people dying, it's a lot of crying. It's like all love is gone, everything going wrong. Brother against brother, no fathers in the home. Betrayed by so-called friends, and you feel so alone. Where do we go from here? It's like the same old thing. Traveled this road before, don't wanna see pain no more. It's a cold world, very few obey God's commands. For we know the earth is given into wicked hands. If my people called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and pray, it will be okay. Turn from all your wicked ways, obey the word and have faith. I will heal the land, uphold you with my right hand.
First off, all praises to my life source. I heard this beat, it made me wanna tell my life story. Cause we all under these curses, so you relate to it. But I decided to speak strictly about our current goings, because iniquity abounds, love wax cold. It used to be even in wickedness you had a goal, but love of money and love of self became the main goal. Behave ourselves as if we ain't sheep of the same fold. We need each other more than ever now, if you ain't know. It's about to get worse than it's ever been, this world cold. To enter the kingdom we gotta endure and go through much tribulation. But before we get to that point, we gotta master the basics. Keeping the laws ain't an option, and you can't pick the ones you wanna. It's sad that that's the top, but we folks who claim they Yasharala. We can't help the lost sheep while we got visible problems. Until you fully submit, you ain't giving glory and honor.
Father, give me strength to fight the battles that I have inside. In your secret place I cry, according to my flesh I die. Your Holy Spirit gives me life, I'll be your living sacrifice. Purify me with your fire, tired of going through generational curses. Teach me your commandments so that I can be perfect. Forgive me my transgressions and deliver me from evil. Abba, Yah, please take away the curses of your people. If my people called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and pray, it will be okay. Turn from all your wicked ways, obey the word and have faith. I will heal the land, uphold you with my right hand, yeah. For I wish that I myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the services of God and the promises. It's time to turn back to Yah so he can turn back to us and restore these curses back to blessings.
Gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. Gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody else. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody else. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. How you gon' say you love yourself when you put poison in your body? Know when it's killing you, but you can't stop cause you enjoy it. Risk is greater than a reward. You gotta use life. We got the World Wide Web. You got access to knowledge. I can't stay silent. I gotta keep it silent. I'm tired of my people dying from lack of even trying. Understand that it's bad for you, but you justify it. Know what you need to do, but the truth is you deny it. Voluntary blindness, aiding genocide, it's suicide if you push solutions to the side. Our ignorance got a penalty that make me wanna cry. Can't put two and two together, realize we the 12 tribes. I'm supposed to be the temple, but the temple been defiled. If you can't worship him and be him, want no praise from your mouth. His commandments teach us everything love is about. Without him, it ain't no way you can love yourself at all. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. When I say love yourself, ain't talking about you pleasing your flesh. More like practicing refraining from what's bringing you depth. The cares and wonders of the world, that's what be bringing you stress. Trying to keep up with them trends, that's what got you depressed. We be the biggest consumers, but really need to invest. We so predictable, they don't see us as a threat. Mentality's full of trash, when we gon' clean up the mess? Our community the worst, so who gon' bring out the best? We got low expectations, so we settle for less. We get undeserved kindness, so we think that we blessed. We don't love ourselves, that's why we be killing each other. We still breaking commandments, that's why we stuck in the struggle. Glaring evidence with no change, you got me befuddled. Don't know how to show humility, even though we been humble. Grace and mercy, you ain't there, yeah, that's how much he love you. Giving you chance after chance, cause he waiting on you to love you. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. Everybody always talking about generational curses, but nobody ever talks about what we gotta do to break these generational curses. And in order to do that, you gotta learn how to love yourself. And when I talk about loving yourself, I mean keep the Most High's commandments. He created us, so he know what's best for us. And doing what's best for you is the highest form. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself.
Shalom, family. One of the most important things is for us to be holy. Now, what does that mean? That means we have to separate ourselves from the world and build unity and community. Grab yourself a shirt that expresses that message, and let's not just talk about it, let's live it.
Ain't no free will, it's all predestinated. From every death to every child brought forth through copulation. From the spouse that you choose to your current occupation, you either receive mercy or Yahweh's indignation. I can recollect on times that I could have been dead. Caught lacking, no strap, I had a knife instead. Played it cool, he wanted to kill me for how I used to move. Had to match his energy, portray that I was strapped too. But inside I'm praying to God, hoping he don't shoot. Feel I'm whooping, telling him it ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Salvation ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Salvation ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Yeah, many are called, but few get chosen. Matthew 22 and 14. My righteousness gonna exceed that of the Pharisees. Do what they. Man, all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High. Shalom, Mark. Shalom, family.
Hey, Shalom, King. Shalom, family.
Shalom, man, and all praises again to the Most High, y'all. We are happy to be able to join you again through the grace and mercy of the Father, man. And tonight's lesson is the significance of the story of Judah and Tamar. And all praise to the Most High for it again, man. I can't say it enough.
But we thank everybody that's tuned in. If you're watching and you haven't commented, shalom to you, and to those who have commented, shalom. Also, shalom, Sister Wendy. And if you're watching this on the replay, y'all, it's very important that you still comment, that you still share, that you still hit the like button, because it helps the algorithm trigger other viewers. It helps get us to the top of the feed on YouTube, and it also helps the visibility of the video itself. So we ask that you do that. We thank you for doing it also. So all praise, honor, glory to the Most High. And Ak, you got anything you want to add? And I said the same thing in the background too, Sister Wendy. And I appreciate you putting them together.
All praises to the Most High. And yeah, of course, all praises to the Most High first and foremost. Peace to everyone that's on the stream. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with us once again. Just like always, if you're on a YouTube platform, make sure to like the video and also share. Subscribe if you haven't already. And also, if you're already subscribed, then hit the bell so that you can get notified for different drops. Some heat is supposed to be coming out. I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but I was talking to the brother Hurt, so some stuff, Lord willing, is gonna be coming out soon. So y'all want to make sure y'all tapped in for that. Then also, if you're on the Facebook platform, make sure to like/heart the video. And if you're led to share, then utilize the YouTube live link. And we appreciate all of your help, all of your support. And just as the sister usually puts, we appreciate you helping us grow the kingdom of the Most High by liking, commenting, and sharing the video. And once again, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can get hit with all of the live links, the drops, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much everything I have. Looking forward to the lesson. I'll pass it back to you, brother.
Khan. All praises out. So what I want to start with, I just want to start with a question. So for everyone that's watching, we know the title is The Significance of the Story of Judah and Tamar. If you're familiar with this story, put a 1 in the chat. If you're not, put a 2 in the chat. Just to see who's familiar, if you've read it, or you're just familiar with the story, like you heard something about it before. So I got 1 in the chat. So it might be the only comment we're gonna get. I guess whoever watching, they just watching. Oh, he put 1 in the chat. Of course, you heard of it. Sister Wendy says she read it multiple times. Gone, all praises. So yeah, for those of you who may not be familiar with this story, this is going to be very edifying. It's going to be very interesting if you've never heard anything about this story, which is an interesting story in general. I know the first time I read it, I was like, It's one of those. It's very interesting. And, through the spirit and power of the Most High, hopefully y'all will be edified. So I'll ask the question one more time because a couple more people jumped on the stream. If y'all are familiar with the story of Judah and Tamar, put a 1 in the chat. If you're not, put a 2 in the chat. And Ak, you can go ahead and get your screen shared so we can be ready to go. And give it about 10 more seconds, see if anybody got any reply as far as if they're familiar with the story. So I guess not. So we go ahead and let's get to Genesis chapter 38.
Gone.
And we're going to read verses 1 through 5.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, starting in verse 1. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hirah. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. And she conceived and bare a son. And he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son. And she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chizib when she bare him.
Con. So we just getting the context to the chapter, understanding what's going on. And this is Judah. It talks about Judah going down with one of his brethren, with his brethren, went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Hirah. So this was a brother who he went to go and visit. And it says while he was there visiting the Adulamite named Hirah, he saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite. So this was a Canaanite woman. It said whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in unto her. He already off for dealing with a Canaanite already off top. He tripping. So yeah, this is telling because Judah, why are you dealing with a Canaanite woman? And we're gonna get more into the character of Judah throughout this chapter. So it says, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chizib when she bare him. So she had 3 children, 3 boys, three young men by Judah. And this is important as we continue throughout this story. Now, if y'all remember last week, we did the lesson about repentance. And I mentioned that there was a chapter in between Genesis 37, which we dealt with, and Genesis 44, where we saw in Genesis 37, Judah conspired with his other brothers to sell Joseph, their other brother, into slavery to the Ishmaelites. And between that time and Genesis 44, Judah had learned a lot. And in Genesis 44, he was more empathetic to his father after he had already caused one of his children to be taken away, which they believed that the son was maybe dead or whatever maybe had happened. The father definitely believed that his son was dead because they set it up to look like that. So now the second time when he was faced with some type of situation that was similar, where he would have had to go and bring his other brother back, they couldn't do it. And he was empathetic and he was repentant about what he did. Now, Genesis 38, this is the chapter after Genesis 37, after they had sold Joseph into slavery. So we see here, he's still learning lessons in Genesis 38. As we continue reading, we'll identify the lessons that he's learning. And Shalom, YP. So if you want to make a point on these first 5 verses, you can before we continue reading.
Yeah, Con. Yeah, I mean, like it's already a little crazy, but that was an excellent point that you made in tandem to what we had just went into recently. All praises to the Most High for it. But yeah, just that as it was mentioned, the sister put it in the chat. Aren't Canaanites one of the nations were commanded not to marry? And you could read that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7. But what is not commonly spoken of, and funny enough, I read this account not even realizing that we was going into this today, but also someone brought this account up to try to I don't know what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to just contradict the Bible, but they brought this account up as if Abraham didn't enforce this to his servant Eleazar when he was picking out a wife for Isaac, and then Isaac told this to his son Jacob when you read in the book of Genesis, the 28th chapter. So this was like a common understanding and command that was passed down from our forefathers all the way down to us, and it just continued to just overlap into the different eras that we see throughout the scriptures. So like, again, like, don't let that go over your head that this brother, he just went and took himself a Canaanite. Like, that wasn't a lawful union, within our culture and within our covenant with our forefathers in the Most High. But I'll pass it back to you, King.
And I think it's very important to just pay attention, y'all, as we read, because the little details tell a lot. And we just got through looking at a small detail. This small detail is he took a Canaanite to wife. And just like Sister Wendy and just like Aaron said, this was against the laws for Israelites to do so. So that's a telltale sign early in this chapter. And we'll continue reading. Ak, if you could read 6 through 10.
Jumping down to verse 6. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased Yahweh, wherefore he slew him also.
And if you're not familiar with this this passage, you like, huh? What? Because I know I was that way. I think everybody was that way when we first read this passage. Just because it's graphic. It's not like it's a bad graphic. It paints a picture for you of what's going on, and it makes you scratch your head. So looking at verse 6, it says, And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. So someone that's not versed in the law would say, why is his brother with his brother's wife now after he passes away? And we're going to get into that. We're going to look at the law that permits this to happen. But verse 10 says, And the thing which he did displeased Yahweh, wherefore he slew him also. So he went in into Tamar, but he didn't allow seed to go in and attach to the egg to create a child. And this was something that was looked at by the Most High as wicked. And we're going to look at why. But why he said pull out method got fam marked. Right. He got marked for death instantly. And the Most High did away from him for his wickedness. Did away with him for his wickedness. So we know when we look at what was told to him, Judah said to Canaan in verse 8, Go in into thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. Onan was wicked because all he did was say, okay, yeah, I'm going to go in into her. He fulfilled the lust of the flesh. He didn't do what he was supposed to do when he went into her. But let's go to Deuteronomy 25, 5 through 10.
God. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, starting at verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her, and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead. that his name be not put out of Israel. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders, and say, my brother's, it's like my husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him. And if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loosed.
And he should have just allowed that to happen, and he wouldn't have got killed, at least, if he would have had some type of honor, if he really didn't want to do this. And just like Ox said, this was the reason he didn't want to do it, because the seed wouldn't be his, which is so selfish and which is so hateful. So looking at verse 6, it says, and it shall be that the firstborn which she bears shall succeed in the name of his brother, which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. So this child, where we read in Genesis 38, he didn't want to do it because that child wouldn't be his. And we see that it's going to be in the name of his brother, which is dead. So it would be considered his brother's child. And that was the selfish reasoning why he didn't want to do it. So it says in verse 7, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. So he broke this law also, because he didn't do this when he decided mentally, I don't want to raise up a child for my brother, which, I mean, that was wicked in itself also. So verse 8 says, then the elders, the Salaki, it says, and if the man, in verse 7, like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. That's disrespectful to his brother also. It says, then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him. And if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders and loose his shoe from off his foot and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto the man that will not build up his brother's house. And his name should be called in Israel, the house of him that have his shoe loose. Now, Ak, if you want to add something to it, you can.
Nah, I mean, not too much, man. Just, I mean, that definitely broken down well. And I mean, like, that's what the law says to do. And you see the provision for like what happens when a brother doesn't do it. But obviously, as you can see, it's shameful if you don't, take upon that duty to make sure that your brother has a name in Israel. It's and again, like, just I put it in the chat, like, if you talk to like brothers today, like you got the YNs, they call the young ninjas, right? Like they'd be like, man, it ain't gonna be mine for real. That's how they gonna play it, and they ain't gonna want to do what they're supposed to do for their brother. Like that would be the honorable thing.
Right.
Like if he would have just did what his father told him to do, that'd have been honorable. But he chose, because the seed wouldn't be his. He's like, nah, I'm gonna just go ahead and spill it on the ground. Like it don't do nothing for nobody. I mean, I guess, but himself, but I yield right there.
Con. And Sister Wendy had asked, is there any significance in the loose shoe giving? Like, why is that a big thing? I think just the symbology of it, the shoe being loosed, means that he just doesn't have a descendant to succeed him. Basically, that he caused his brother to not have a seed to descend from him. That's why it says, and his name should be called in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loosed. So I can't. I mean, I think it's just symbology for the most part. When we look at, let's look at of him that have loosed in the Hebrew. When you look at that word, yeah, you can go ahead and pull it up out.
It's H2502 halats, and it's a verb. Usage is to remove, draw out, draw off, take off, withdraw, equipped for war, arm for war, rescue, be rescued. Then it says more to be equipped, to make strong, to draw off or out, withdraw. Some usages to be delivered, saved.
And if you could, just read the Genesis, Genesis Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon, and read entry 2.
Con. It says to withdraw oneself, to depart, followed by, and then it's mean.
Con.
So the whole thing?
Nah, that's good. So it'll be significant for him withdrawing himself from the duty that he's supposed to be tasked with. He's supposed to raise up seed for his brother, and he's withdrawing himself. So that would be the symbology behind it. And if you want to add to it, you can.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good question. From what I'm aware of, also, like, it's also a symbol of shame to like have your shoe removed. And I give one example. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 20. Some of y'all might be familiar with this account. Isaiah chapter 20, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, in the year that Tartan came unto Ashdod, when Sargon, the king of Assyria, sent him and fought against Ashdod and took it, at the same time spake Yahweh by Isaiah the son of Amos, saying, go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins, and put off thy shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. And Yahweh said, like as my servant Isaiah hath walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and a wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia, so shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoners and the Ethiopians captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt, Slakia. So that again, like when you see that verbiage of, like, someone being barefoot or being loose, or their clothes being loosed, this was symbolism for being made vulnerable or being trodden down bare. Like you even see that verbiage in Jeremiah 49 when it says, I've made Esau bare. And then what goes on to be said is that all of his males would be, pretty much killed off, and then just his widows and the children are there and stuff like that. So like it's speaking about shame more so in symbolism. But not to keep it too long. I'll pass it back to you, King.
Khan, all praises, and Shalom, Sister Andrea and the water for making that point. Let's go back to Genesis 38 and just read verse 11.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 38, verse 11. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house.
Khan. So let's grab peradventure in Hebrew.
Khan.
And, just to draw y'all attention to it, I'm going to read it again. It says, then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house till Shelah my son be grown. Now, when it goes after this colon, the semicolon, it says, for he said, he didn't say this to her. He's saying this to himself. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And let's look at peradventure so everybody can understand what Judah is saying to himself as he's sending Tamar away and saying, hey, go be a widow at your people house.
God, this is H6435. It's pain, adverb, conjunction, and then usage is less, not, beware less, and then definition, removal, used only in the construction, adverb as conjunction, less peradventure, that, not.
So he's saying he's going to beware unless, or beware just in case, his son will die also by sleeping with Tamar. So I want you to go to the lexicon also, Hebrew Calvary lexicon, and start reading where it says it is used.
God, it says, it is used where an action proceeds by which something is prohibited, which we fear and wish removed.
So he was trying his best. He's sending her off, and he has no intentions of Shelah taking her as a wife. So he lied to Tamar and sent her to her father's house, saying, whenever he's grown, then I'll allow him to marry you, which was a lie. And it's crazy because he's acting as if it's something she's doing or something that's wrong with her that caused his two sons to die. If you raise your third son not to be wicked, he'll be all right. And he could marry Tamar and won't nothing happen to him. But those two sons were wicked. It wasn't Tamar's fault that they got killed. Now, let's read verses 12 through 15. If you want to make a point, you can too.
I was looking at different translations, and like they kind of convey that sentiment about like, he doesn't really like have that intention for Shelah to actually grow up and marry her.
Right.
So that's a real interesting point that you brought out. That's a good point. We got it, King.
Yeah, the brother using deceit. This is something we seeing. He's using deceit with this sister, and it's definitely not right because he does have a responsibility within, with her. He took her to be the wife of one of his sons. So, if you could read verses 12 through 15.
Continuing on, verse 12. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up unto his sheep shears to Timnath, he and his friend Hirah the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face.
So looking at verse 12, it says, in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. So Shua, the Canaanite that he married, she had a daughter by somebody else already too. It says, and Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hirah the Adullamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. It says, and she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. So she peeped game like, oh, this dude done lied to me. I got a plan. I know what I'm gonna do. And when we look at her wearing a veil, it was common in that day and age for harlots to cover their face. He said harlots covered up. But it was common for her, well, for women that were harlots to cover their face, use a veil. And when you think about it, most likely is to conceal the identity, so no one knows who they are while they out there on the stroll. So we're gonna continue reading to see, what happens. In verse 15, it says, when Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot because she had covered her face. And Ak, you got anything you want to add before we continue going? Because it's about to get crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a real interesting point. Because I would say that's a real interesting point. But yeah, like how you said, it's about to get crazy because hey, that I was typing that, but I erased it. But I was I was gonna put that
No case.
God. God, but it's definitely about to get crazy. But I mean something like I was just thinking, and somebody made this point earlier, but it's just like just the willing, because like again, he's under the assumption that this is a harlot, and he's just yeah. I mean, like y'all about to see. I don't want to give it away, so I pass it back. You got it, King.
God. So I guess let's go ahead and read verses 16 through 19. Oh my God, why is so funny? BC Shiesties is crazy, right? Real shiesty, crazy.
God.
16 through 19.
God, this is the book of Genesis chapter 38, verse 16. And he turned unto her by the way and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto her. Let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. She said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet, and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood.
Con. So, y'all, I'm gonna ask a question. Do y'all think she was wrong for what she did? I'm just gonna ask that question, just to see what y'all think. And what I'm gonna do also is, you can go ahead and grab Deuteronomy 23 and 17.
Nah.
That is nasty work. Like, oh my God. Like, bro, you don't know who this is, where she been. She covered up, face covered up and everything. You don't know nothing about this woman. Like, Lord, playing around.
God.
Well, Sister Wendy said, nope, she wasn't wrong. We're gonna get to whether or not she was or she wasn't. But Judah was definitely, he was real thirsty. He tripped real bad. And we finna look at why what he did was so bad. So Deuteronomy 23 and 17.
God, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel.
So he aided in making the assumed harlot a whore, because in his mind, this is a harlot. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna pay for it. And if this indeed was a harlot, he just would have been being a whoremonger with a harlot. But that's not what this was. This wasn't a harlot. This wasn't a whore that was standing out for you to buy. She had an agenda against him. But why? Because of him not fulfilling the duties he was supposed to fulfill. I grab Leviticus 19 and 29.
God. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness.
So he supported and aided a sister in prostitution. He didn't know who that sister was at that point in time, but in his thought, in his mind, he's like, okay, this is a harlot. Okay, I'm gonna pay. He's aiding in the land falling to whoredom and becoming full of wickedness. And this is what's making Judah and what he did wicked for what he did. Let's go back to Genesis 38. And if you want to make a point, you can before we continue going.
Kind of quick point. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse, hopefully it pops up on the screen. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 12. It's not popping up on the screen for some reason. I think I guess maybe because of what's in the verse, I assume. Yeah. But Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 12, I'm gonna read it in the Net Bible. It says, if a man has sexual intercourse with his daughter-in-law, both of them must be put to death. They have committed perversion. Their blood guilt is on themselves. So, man, the other 2 points, that was hefty. This one is hefty because with the actual situation that occurred. But I'm not even gonna say actual situation, but the original situation is that he slept with his daughter-in-law, but like again, yeah, like the whoredom points is hefty, man. I mean, like, yeah, this a crazy story. But I pass it back to you, King.
God. So we go back to Genesis 38. Let's get 20 through 23.
God, it's a book of Genesis chapter 38, verse 20. It says, and Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend the Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her.
So he's trying to track her down to make sure he pay. He's trying to make sure he pay up. So he had more honor in paying a harlot than not sleeping with a prostitute. It's crazy. We can continue reading verses 24 through 26.
26. And 20. It came to pass about 23?
No, 24 through 26.
Verse 24. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, and let her be burnt. When she brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet and bracelets and staff. And Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more.
Con. So Judah even admits that she was more righteous than him. Now, this ain't saying that Tamar was righteous for what she did, but she definitely was more righteous than him because he slept with a so-called, in his own mind, he believed this was a harlot. So he willingly went out and paid to sleep with a prostitute. This is why he's saying, dang, she's more righteous than me. Plus, he also didn't uphold his end of the bargain. He lied to Tamar, sent her back to her father's house, and said, hey, when Shelah is grown, I'm going to allow him to marry you. He's going to be your husband. And he lied because when he made it to the age of being grown, he didn't allow him to marry her. He didn't send for her or anything. And this is why she formulated her plot to sleep with him so that she could bear a child. Let's read 27 through 30. Shalom, sister, sister Shaq.
God, continuing on, verse 27. And it came to pass in the time of her travel, her travail, that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass, when she travailed, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah.
And so, Sister Wendy, in this instance, these two children, they actually would have been, you say, so in this instance, would the first two children of Shelah be and Onan's? Well, these children would be considered Shelah, not Shelah's. What's his name? Because he was actually the first husband. And when he died, Onan was supposed to go and help raise up the name of his brother. So this still would apply because it still would have been about the name of being in his house or whatever. So, but looking at these scriptures we just read, verses 27 through 30, it says that there were twins. She had twins. It says, and it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. And it came to pass as he drew back his hand that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand. His name was called Zerah. Now, it's something significant about these children, and we're going to look at what that is. And at the end of the day, the Most High, He going to always get the glory. Everything happens for a reason, and everything is always going to work according to His purpose and His will, regardless of how someone may do something selfishly and not the way that they're supposed to do, or the way that they were supposed to keep the laws of the Most High and follow it properly. So I'll go to Matthew 1, 2, and 3.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 1, starting at verse 2. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. And Judas begat Pharez, and Zerah of Tamar. And Pharez begat Isram, and Isram begat Aram.
So the twins are actually in the lineage of Yahushua. So at the end of the day, the Most High will was done, regardless of Judah running away from his responsibility, Onan running away from his responsibility, and by what Tamar did, this was accomplished. So even though what she did was wrong, the Most High put it on her spirit to do it so that his purpose could still be fulfilled. And I think that's something that's important to recognize, because we recognize this in our everyday life. Things can look bad or they can go a certain way, and then at the end of the day, it just all works for the good according to his purpose. Let's go to Ruth 4, verses 1 through 4.
God. This is the book of Ruth, chapter 4, starting at verse 1. Then went Boaz up to the gate and sat him down there. And behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, Ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, Sit ye down here. And they sat down. And he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother's Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise thee, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know. For there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it.
Con. So what we see that Naomi is coming out of the country of Moab. She's selling land, and it was Elimelech's. And Elimelech is actually a relative of Boaz and the rest of the brothers that are right there in the gate. So it says, and I thought to advertise thee, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If thou will redeem it, redeem it. But if thou will not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know. For there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. So him saying that he's after him is because he's kin, and he's the next of kin. So if Boaz isn't going to fulfill what needs to be fulfilled, then he would have to do it. So we're going to keep reading, because we're going to see some more things that are significant in this chapter that parallel with what we read in Genesis 38 and Deuteronomy 25. I'll read verses 5 through 9.
Continuing on, verse 5. Then said Boaz, What day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. For to confirm all things, a man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, Buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, Ye are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place. Ye are witnesses this day.
Con. So he did what he was supposed to do as it related to his kinsman. He bought the land, and then he also took Ruth as a wife because her husband was dead, and he was the next of kin because the brothers were dead also. So he would have been something like a cousin, and he understood the significance of taking her as a wife to continue to raise up his brethren's name, his kinsman's name. Now, I want to look, and that's something that's completely different from what we saw with Onan. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to have that respect for his king. But I read these last two verses 11 and verse 12.
God, verse 11. And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses. Yahweh make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel. And do thou worthily in Ephrathah, and be famous in Bethlehem. And thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which Yahweh shall give thee of this young woman.
Khan, so we see again Pharez being mentioned. This is one of the twins that Tamar had. And what we understand is Boaz actually descended from Tamar and Judah having Pharez. This was a part of his lineage. They came before him. So this is, the Most High, just his ultimate plan of things being accomplished according to his will, regardless of what it looked like and regardless of who didn't want to do what. And if you want to add to, you can.
Nah, no points, King. Excellent lesson.
Khan, all praises. So I think I got one more scripture. Yep, Romans 8, 28 and 29.
God. God, this is the book of Romans, chapter 8, starting at verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren.
Khan. So all things are always going to work according to the Most High's purpose, regardless. There may be some error in there. There may be some wickedness along the way. But at the end of the day, the Most High's will is going to be done, and nobody can stop that. And I think that this lesson is a perfect example. That story about Judah and Tamar is a perfect example of the Most High will still being done, because he did use them to help Yahweh shall come into this earth, which essentially will bring salvation to all of Israel. So all praise to the Most High. I don't have anything else, I don't think.
All praises, man. Yeah. And I was thinking about this scripture earlier when he made a statement, I think maybe like 5 or 7 minutes ago or something like that. So, all praises to the Most High. This got brought out because this exact scripture I was thinking about, I think, when you went to Matthew 1 initially. So yeah, excellent lesson. Excellent point. Like, even through the fascinating circumstances within the story of Judah and Tamar, we see we see what came of it. You know what I'm saying? And when you look in the genealogy of the Messiah, of Yahushua, you'll see that, it played a hand in producing and springing forth the Messiah himself. So, it wasn't just a totally bad, situation, even though it's crazy. It's kind of like it's like a TV show. You know what I'm saying? But again, it all worked out for the purpose, and for the end to bring forth the Messiah ultimately, so all praises to the Most High.
All praises, man. I think that's all I got, y'all. If y'all got any comments or questions, y'all can place them in the chat, so we don't leave anybody with any puzzling thoughts about this lesson. And while we wait on that, we'll just play a commercial.
You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody. You better love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you learn how to love somebody else.
Shalom, family. One of the most important things is for us to be holy. Now, what does that mean? That means we have to separate ourselves from the world and build unity and community. Grab yourself a shirt that expresses that message, and let's not just talk about it, let's live it.
All praise to the Most High. All praises, the Water King, the Water. So if there'll be nothing else, if you don't have anything to add, you can close us out. This one our shorter lessons. I figured it was gonna be a little shorter because the story's straight to the point. So it is what it is.
Con. All praise to the Most High. Yeah, absolutely beautiful lesson. And there's nothing else, man. We'll close it out with number 6 and 24 on down. Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. And with that, I'll say shalom.
Shalom, Mark. Shalom, family.
It ain't for everybody. Salvation. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Salvation. It ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. Yeah, many are called, but few get chosen. Matthew 22 and 14. My righteousness gonna exceed that of the Pharisees. Do what they
so I offer up my whole life. Got a strong wife, righteousness my only type. Isha on my side when I ride, I'm an Israelite. Resurrected out the valley, now I'm moving mountains. Latter rain flood the plains, it's a spirit fountain. I never feel the outcome, cause I only feel the alpha. I meant the olive to the top, I can't live without him.
Man is unstable in all his ways. Gotta trust the Most High to provide, you can't waver. You gotta have faith, you gotta have faith. Never give up, no.
Within me, so it flows like water. Gotta account for my actions, I do what I order. Obedience come with sacrifice, I'm trusting the Father. Faith cometh by hearing, but your actions should follow. Gotta change and repent, that might not be your tomorrow. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Yeah, he say one thing, but do the opposite thing. If you ain't keeping the commandments, your sacrifice is in vain. Come before the throne of the Most High, you should be ashamed. If you hate your brother in your heart, you got the spirit of Cain. Unwavering faith, it can help you change your ways. But you can't doubt it, you can't break in reality, that ain't faith. Through frustration and tribulation, you gotta seek his face. Gotta endure to the end, cause that's how you win a race. You can't attain the prize if you can't do what it takes.
A double-minded